young guy came to me one day and he said, see, they gave your KP, kitchen police, alphabetically, and my name was started with S, so I was down the line quite a ways, and this one boy come and asked me if I'd do KP for him after supper, so that he could play baseball, and then he'd do my KP after supper when I caught it. But by gosh, you see, in the meantime, I'd gotten promoted. I took that test, and I was exempt from KP. But I'll never forget, they put me in the sink where I washed plates, and there was about 600 of us. When I was monkeying around washing these plates, I great big wash rag, I swabbed the front of them, and I turned them over and cleaned off the back, but there was never anything on the back. I thought, that's a worthless darn deal. I was in a hurry, and there's a worthless darn deal to clean the backside, turn it over and swab the backside, because there's never anything there. By gosh, about the time I was about through, the mess sergeant came through, and my gosh, if one kid hadn't cleaned this knife on the backside of a plate, and by God, he threw the whole works back in again. So I cleaned 600 plates all over again. So that wasn't as much fun as I had planned it to be, but it still was. It was kind of interesting anyway. I started my military career in 1931, somewhat. I completed the first sub-course in the Army Extension course in December 18th. In the infantry, Organization of the Army was the title of the first one. I was in the White Course, attended the White Course in the Citizens Military Training Camp at Bismarck, or completing the White Course. And my dad let me use the Model T to go to camp. And now you know that drive from Cooperstown to Bismarck in a Model T would take around, well, you can figure I drove about 20-25 miles an hour. Took a long time to get there. So when I got there, I used in the evenings, and well, we didn't do anything on Wednesday afternoons, we didn't do anything on Saturday afternoons, we didn't do anything on Sunday. I'd haul the boys up from Fort Lincoln to Bismarck for a dime. That constituted my spending money. I bought gasoline, and that was my spending money then for the trip. Now that was kind of it kept me busy all afternoon. First, 10 cents to get there, 10 cents to get back. I got a commission in the infantry as a second lieutenant on November 28, 1932, through Citizens Military Training Camp. If I am not mistaken, I'm the only one in North Dakota that ever got a commission out of the Citizens Military Training Camp. The other boys were going to ROTC at the University of North Dakota, and they called it the Agricultural College in those days. And they waited with their commission to get it through the school. So as far as I know, I'm the only one in the state of North Dakota that got a commission through the Citizens Military Training Camp. In 32, I attended this camp for 30 days, then completed the Blue Course from the middle of June until the middle of July. I qualified for pistol first class, score of 81 in July of 32, and then I qualified for expert rifleman in 1932. And again, my dad let me use the Model T to go there. Of course, the tires were built a lot better than they were back in the 1918 and 19. So I didn't, well, I guess I bought one tire on the trip. I also appointed a cadet first lieutenant in the Citizens Military Training Camp in June and July. Now, then in fall, I enrolled in and completed Army extension courses in the infantry, and this is many of them. 20-1 was map reading. I completed that in November 26, 1932. And then 10-1 Organization of the Army, December 18, 1931. 10-7, more map reading, and I finished it in February 15, 1932. And then 10-4 of administration was February 6 to 1932. Some of them didn't take too long to finish. And I finished at 10-3 military law of March 23rd of 1932. And 10-7 part 2 aerial photo reading March 1st of 1932. And 10-2 military discipline, courtesies and customs was April 20th, 1932. 10-5 military sanitation and first aid was April 8, 1932. And 10-6 interior guard duty, May 3rd, 1932. When we were talking about all these courses that I took, there wasn't such a thing as electric lights. So I sat with all my work on the kitchen table with a kerosene wick lamp, and you can imagine the light that I had to do all this reading and studying and what have you. And it required quite a bit of time. I didn't do too much of it during the day, so I got started about 8:30 or 8:30 at night, and I'd sit up till midnight when my folks went to bed. So there wouldn't be no disturbance of any kind. So that, I still got good eyes though, so whether or not that, it didn't make any difference to the eyesight, but it was a far cry to study then than it is to do it now. We went to the 20 series. 20-2 Organization of the Infantry was December 7th of 1932. I enlisted in the Reserve Corps September 3rd of 1932 and was discharged from the enlisted Reserve Corps in November 13, 1932 to accept a commission as a second lieutenant in the Reserve Corps. 1933, I was ordered to Fort Lincoln as a second lieutenant for 2 weeks in September 12th of 1933. That is an interesting situation too. First time I had to borrow a uniform. I didn't have anything, in the line of the uniform. So I borrowed from a fellow that was attending the University of North Dakota. So I got through my first encampment without even having any clothes of my own. Then I completed the Army Extension courses, 20-3 Weapons and Musketry, January 6th of 33. 20-5 is Combat Principles and Instructions of the Platoon in February 6, 1933. 20-4 Scouting and Patrolling was January 23rd, 1933. 20-7 Part 1 Supply was April or March 16, 1933. And 20-6 was Military Law and Courts and Material, March 4th, 1933. 20-8 the Property, Emergency Procurement and Funds, April 3rd, 1933. 20-7 Part 2 Mess Management, April or March 16, 1933. 20-10, care of animals and stable management. That's something that we don't think about anymore now. April 27, 1933. And then 20-9, defense against chemical warfare, was April 14, 1933. I got a certificate of capacity for first lieutenant, June 9, 1933. Donald was born in Minneapolis, March 31st, 1933, on a Friday. I was, 1934, I was ordered to the Civilian Conservation Corps as the second lieutenant at Dunseat, the International Peace Garden. Our company was 794. We were transferred. That was July 2nd. I got up there, July 2nd of 1934. And we were transferred to before we get transferred to Minnesota, we want to talk some more about the encampment and the trip up there and what have you. I think I was scheduled to report for duty at Fort Lincoln on July 1st. And of course they had to vaccinate me and inoculate and what have you. And they took us up to the train in Bismarck, and we went, I think it was to Jamestown, and then went across country. There's no railroad there anymore now. We went as far up as that branch line that went from Dunseat down to I don't know, Wilford or something like that, down in, it is west of Devil's Lake anyway. We got in there, we got to this town where the branch line started for Dunseat.